opening night drew crowds for the concert, but also dozens of former members and the news media.
So many people oppose the LA Church of Christ that they've been protesting here tonight. Let's take a look. Many of these people, former church members.
And they warned the nightclub, even without alcohol, is merely a glitzy Tinseltown tool to attract young people and convert them. LA church leaders acknowledge that's true.
I don't think there's any secrets as far as what we're doing. Yeah, we will use it to reach out to people, to have concerts, to pull people in.
The LA church tried to pull in Reggie Green 2 years ago. He protested the opening of the church nightclub because the church wanted to control his every move.
As far as who I could speak to, what I should be doing, what time I should be getting up in the morning, when I should be reading the Bible, and it goes on and on and on.
It's great to be in Boston. You are an awesome people.
The Boston movement does teach a total commitment to God. For them, there is no partial involvement. It's all or nothing. So when people leave the church, especially if they're openly critical, they're often marked.
And being marked means that no one from the church can speak with you anymore. You're a sinner, you're going to hell, you're evil.
Nobody can call me. They're not allowed to. If they call me, then they're inviting Satan in.
Is it taught that people who leave the Boston Church of Christ will go to hell?
Well, it's taught that if people leave the Bible and what Jesus teaches, that they certainly are in great risk of losing their relationship with Him.
Cult expert and exit counselor Steve Hassan is also a marked man in the Boston Church of Christ. According to a recent article in the Movements magazine, at least twice a week, families of church members hire exit counselors like Hassan to convince their sons or daughters or spouses to leave the church. So not only do church leaders warn against talking with Hassan, they say not to read his book, which they call spiritual pornography. That attitude confirms for Hassan his belief that the Boston Church of Christ is a cult.
For me, that's information control, where the leaders are deciding for the members what's good for them to know and what's not good for them to know, instead of encouraging them to think for themselves.
It's something that has been so traumatic, and yet I feel so delivered by God. He brought me out into a spacious place and let me see exactly what was happening. And I feel so lucky.
The emotional anguish some people experience after leaving the church can't be overstated. Leaving, they say, is like jumping into a void. As we have just heard, the people who've been their closest friends no longer talk to them. And their involvement in this insular organization drew them away from their old friends. On top of that, they say it is sometimes very hard to shake the lessons learned in the church, that leaving means turning away from God. Natalie.
Well, I can appreciate that. How about these exit counselors now? Are they deprogrammers?
Well, there's a very important difference. The programmers were popular when parents were rescuing kids from cults like the Moonies. In fact, Steve Hassan is a former Moonie. In deprogramming, parents actually had their children abducted, kidnapped, locked them behind closed doors, and forced them to listen to material that was very critical of those groups. With exit counseling, members of the church, for example, are asked to listen to other theological viewpoints on the Bible, other information about the church. But it's important to say they can't be forced to do so. Part of the definition is that it has to be done by mutual agreement.
I'm struck throughout the pieces that you've had this week by the lack of trust this church seems to have in its people. In other words, I won't trust that you'll tithe 10% over to me. I need to check all of your books. That's one of the things that's one of the things that the former members were troubled by. That a church that promotes trusting God didn't trust people very often, and they were guilt-ridden all the time. Yeah, interesting series.
Interesting indeed, Jorge. Thank you.
Thanks.